Hello, welcome to your WordPress training video created for you by PGM. I'm going to go ahead and start by logging into the back end of your website. So to do that, you just go to your website up here, and then we're going to do WP admin. So it's going to go ahead and ask me to log in with my password and my email address. So I put that up here. My computer has saved the password, and I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And that's how you get to the back end of your website. If you ever wanted to update your users' permissions, you would go to users here. And then when you scroll down, you'll see all of the people that have specific accounts for the back end of your website. So for example, I'm right here. We have Marissa here, Paul, and some of our support team members here as well. If you ever wanted to add a new person to help manage the back end of your website, you would go up to the top and do Add New. And then you would put in a username. I tend to either do just the email address as a username, or you could do the first initial and last name of someone. You could do a first and last name. It's completely up to you. So for today, I'm just going to put my email address. And I'm going to use that as the email as well. I'll put my first name, my last name. You don't have to put website. And then it will generate a password for you. So I would recommend copying and pasting the username, the email, and the password into a dedicated passwords document, just to make sure that you have access to that. This sends the new user an email about their account. This, if it's someone that you want to receive an email, you can just go ahead and keep that checked. Sometimes there might be a time where you don't want to do that, so you can always uncheck it if you'd like, but we'll keep that checked for now. And then the last thing you're going to do is choose a specific role for them. I'm going to go ahead and do administrator, but as you can see, there's a bunch of different types of roles that you can use if you wanted to, for example, give someone that works in the finance department access to the Give WP, but maybe we don't want to give them access to the entire website. You could make them a Give WP manager. We could do editors, subscribers, contributors, but for all of the power behind the website, we're going to do administrator. And then you just click Add New User. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just quickly go through all the different key areas of the back end of your website. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is look at the top of the dashboard. This is kind of like your home base. You can design this to show whatever it is you would like. You do that by just hovering over a section, clicking and holding, and then you can move it around if there's certain notes or areas that you want to be showing at the top. iCode is the support plugin for your GeoDirectory plugin. The GeoDirectory plugin is the plugin that hosts your directory for your resources page. So iCode is basically just the support plugin for that. We'll always be the ones to take care of this, so you don't have to worry about this, but just so you know, the only thing, if you ever needed to do anything with iCode, is turn on the temporary support user access. If you ever needed to submit a support ticket to GeoDirectory, you would turn this on, you would toggle it on. It would last for 3 days before it auto turns off. And then you would go ahead and submit your support ticket, but you don't have to worry about that because we're going to go ahead and take care of any of that support for you. And this is the area where your posts live. So your posts are the blog articles that you create. As we scroll down here, we can see that these are the 3 that Marissa already generated for you for your homepage, just to get that blog started. So if you wanted to go ahead and create a new blog, if you want to go ahead and add to it, you can always go to the top and click add new. But what I would recommend, just to keep everything integrated, is whenever you hover over the latest blog post, you'll see this clone button. This will duplicate this post so that you can have the same exact settings. So I'm going to go ahead and clone this. And once you do that, you'll see that there are now 2 we are hiring posts, but this one says draft at the front of it. Divi just lets you know that it's a post that uses the Divi builder. So we're going to go ahead and go into here. Now, for editing your post page, it's going to be very similar to how you would edit an actual landing page. So we'll go ahead and get started with some of those details now. So we're going to go ahead and first update the title. This is my blog title. Next thing you're going to do is edit the permalink to make sure that it reflects your blog title. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that in. And you can just do this and click OK. And you'll see that it automatically adds those hyphens in and it lowercases everything. So the next thing we're going to do is start updating all the content. So right now we are viewing the wireframe view for the Divi builder, but we're going to make this a little easier on ourselves and we're going to build on the front end. Just so you know, you can either build on the front end or you do have these other views here where you can see the desktop view, you can see the tablet view, and the mobile view. But we're going to go ahead and go back to the wireframe view and then build on the front end so you can see what this is like. Okay, so whenever we're building on the front end, we can see exactly what this page is going to look like for people that come to the website. So whenever they come, they'll see the title. This is my blog title, written by me, the date, announcements, 0 comments. They'll see an image here and then the copy. So we're going to go ahead and start hovering over. Now, whenever you do this, you'll see that 3 different little boxes come up. One is blue, and the blue box allows you to edit the section. So the section can include a bunch of elements, rows, etc. The green one lets you edit the row, and the gray one lets you edit the specific module. So for example, there's a bunch of different modules you can choose from. And so we could add in a button. We could, let's see what else we could add in. We could also add in let's just do a video. So you could add in all of these modules and they're all in the same row here. So if I wanted to move a module, you would use the little cursor here and move it up and down. If I wanted to move a row, it would move everything that's involved in that green row. And the same thing goes for the section. If you want to move a section, it will move automatically any rows that are encompassed in the blue box and any gray modules. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. So here we're going to go ahead and just update the copy. So I'm going to say, this is my blog copy. Learn more today. Okay, that is where you would put any of your new copy. If you wanted to add a link to anything, you would just hover your cursor over the words you want to link, and then you would see up here there's this insert edit, and this is where you would put that URL. Whenever it's an external URL, so if it's linking to a page that's not on your website, if it's to a different website, you would just put the URL as is. However, if it is a page on your website, let's just say we're wanting to direct people to go to the resources page. Typically, whenever you do that, it would look like this. However, since it's an internal page on your website, all you have to do is keep everything after the .org/. So I'm going to remove the .fvoas.org and just keep the /resources, and that will still take them to the resources page. Title, you don't have to put anything for title, but target asks if you want them to stay on the same tab whenever they go to that link, or if you want them to have it open to a new tab. So you can do none or new window. You can press click and then you'll see that the link is active. So that's all done. The next thing we want to do is update this image. So we're actually going to go ahead and exit the visual builder. Before I do that, you're going to hover over this purple circle at the bottom and click Save Draft, because we're not publishing this yet. If you wanted to publish, you would just click Publish right there and it would make it live on your website. I'm going to exit the visual builder. And then I'm going to edit post. This is going to take you to the back end view of that page. Okay, so now that we are here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the featured image. That's how we changed that hero image at the top. So you'll just remove the featured image and then we'll set a new one. So once you add the new photo to your library, which I'll show you how to do in a little bit, you can come here. Also, if you do just want to add a photo into your library, you can just drag it from your files and put it right into this page and it will upload for you. So I'm just going to choose this one. And you'll see that it updates over here. And then it also updates under the featured image, which is exactly what we want it to do. So I'll go ahead and save it as draft. Okay, and then once that has been saved as a draft, we're going to just build on the front end just to make sure it looks good, looks like what we want it to look like. And it does. We see our new image as well as that blog copy. And then we would just go ahead and click that purple button again if this all looks good and hit publish. And that's how you would publish a new blog. So now we're going to go ahead and skip over events for now. I'm just going to take you through to the media tab quick. The media tab is where you can upload any of your media that you want to be used on your website. So you can upload images, videos, and you can also upload PDF documents here. If you wanted to add something new to your media library, you would just go up to the top and click Add New. You would click Select Files, or you would just drag and drop them into the area, and then they would load down here. Now once you upload it, we'll go ahead and take a look and see. Once you upload, let's pretend that we just uploaded this. You'll see that every single piece of media has its own file URL. For images and videos, that's not necessarily needed, but if you were uploading a PDF document that you wanted people to download, that would be very important, because this is the link that you would add to a button for people to be able to download. So whenever you do that, same kind of thing with the blog post, you would copy everything after the org, copy, and then you would put it into a button for whatever page you want it to be. So I'll go ahead and show you how we do that once we are looking at the pages. And that is your media library. Okay, we're going to backtrack now and go to your events. So your events is where all of the different calendar events are located. So now that I'm here, we can see sometimes it has kind of a weird view. In order to help this, that's just kind of the plugin. But in order to help make this a little bit easier to read, what you can do is go at the top to Screen Options. You can actually do this with any of the sidebar things. You can do with pages or posts. And you can decide which columns you want to show. So for us, received internal links, we don't need that for this. Let's see, we'll take off the SEO and readability score. We don't need that. Comments, we don't need that on here. And then we'll go ahead and apply. And as you can see, once we do that, it removes those columns from this view. And in turn, for this specific plugin, it makes it easier to read everything. So this is where all of the different events live. If you ever needed to make an update to an event, you would just go ahead and search for it here. So let's just say I want to look for the murder mystery dinner. I noticed there was a typo on the page. Let's just say I need to fix that typo. You could search by events, and then you could just edit here. And this is what the back end of one of your events will look like. So if you were to create a new event, you would have this exact same view here. You would have an area to put a title, and then you'd want to make sure you update that link and make sure it says the same thing as your title. Down here is where you would put all of the copy if it was an event that you wanted to put specific details on, like what we have here. We have this title here, and as you can see, whenever you hover over it, this starts to say heading 2. This is where you can show all those different headings. Let's just say we want to make it bigger, and a heading 1, you can make it a heading 3. We always like to do heading 2 if you're doing a title in the description. And then you'll see whenever you hover over this text, it just goes right to paragraph. So this is where I would put all of that copy. You can bold it, as you can see up here. You can italicize. If you wanted to add bullets, you could do that right here. This is where you could align everything, either center line, left, right, your links. This is where you would put all of that. If you go over the text bubble, the text shows you the exact same thing, just in a coded text form. So this is actually what's building the page through code, but you never have to worry about that. You can just work right off the visual. So this is where you would put all of that text, and then this is where we get down to the nitty-gritty of the details of the event. So this is where you would put the start and end date. So I would go ahead and, as I did here, do 8/3 at 10:30 to 4:30. This is where you would note if it's a recurring event. This one isn't a recurring event, so that's why we don't have it on. But if you wanted to do a recurring event, you would do schedule multiple events. And this is how you would go ahead and get that going. It would say that it happens. You could either do once, daily, weekly. So if you have like a weekly event, like the weekly lunch, we would say that it's weekly, and it happens every 1 week on this day. Now you can always add another day and say that it's weekly on Tuesday and Thursdays at 10:30 to 4:30, but you're always going to have to keep whatever's locked as one of the days. The reason being is that at the top here, 8/3 is on a Thursday. So if you say this happens weekly, they're not going to let you change it from a different day. So just make sure that the day that you're putting up here is an actual weekday that it starts. And as you're doing this, you'll see at the bottom, this is updating the text as we go along. It helps kind of describe what the event time frame is so that you know that it's being input correctly. So as you're going ahead and updating, you'll see that it's saying that this is an event that happens every week, beginning at 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursdays, starting on August 3rd and repeating indefinitely. If you ever wanted it to end on a certain day, you could put that here. You could do after, 10 events or after 15 events. Now, the only thing with recurring events is that unfortunately with the plugin, if you had an event, let's say that this event met at 10:30 to 4:30 on Thursdays, but on Tuesdays, it met from 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Unfortunately, in that regard, you'd have to create 2 separate events with recurring series added onto it. If that's the case, what I always do is just say the name of the event dash Thursday, or whatever one of the days is, and then for the other one, I would just put the other day. So if it was something that met on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would do Murder Mystery Dinner dash Tuesday, have that be the weekly one on Tuesday, and then have a Murder Mystery Dinner dash Thursday, and have it just be on that Thursday at this specific time. If you have any more questions on that, feel free to let me know. But that's how you would go ahead and set up that series. You could also set it up if you go to the series subcategory. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. And then if you're like, nope, this isn't a recurring event, I was just playing around with it, you can just do the delete button over here. We'll remove this recurrence, and then it kind of goes back to normal. Okay, so once we go ahead and scroll down, we'll see that there is an option to add an exception. So let's say that it's a weekly event. This will only show up if you put in the recurring event. There is an option to say that the event will not occur on a certain day. So let's just say, you know, we're doing the murder mystery dinner every Thursday. It's weekly, but Christmas obviously falls on a Thursday. And so we don't want to be meeting on Thursday. It's a holiday. That's where you would put that add exception. The next thing is just more specific details, like putting a location, an organizer, and if there is a certain landing page, or if you're doing it in conjunction with another organization and they have a landing page, you could put that here. If this is an event that requires a cost, you would just put the $ before cost and then the actual monetary value at the bottom. So for example, right here, we have this location. It's Doubletree by Hilton, Chicago. When you click this bar, you'll see all these different locations that we have already pre-added for you based on the events going on. So we've got Fox Valley Community Services, DeKalb, and Sandwich. And then these are some of the additional locations based on some of the trips coming up. But if you ever wanted to create one, you would just place that here. And then it would show up. Organizer, you can always go ahead and add an organizer over here on the left hand side. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Or you can just add it right there. And you would just click the drop down arrow and put it there. We're not going to go ahead and worry about that. And then again, any URL for your website. Also, if this event had a certain image that you wanted to post with it, you could go ahead and set that here, similar to how we did the blog post. You could put that there. And then this is another place where you can denote if it's a part of a series. We've got some different series already created down here. These were created by doing this recurring event on certain pages. So there's a bunch of different ways you could add the series. This is just another one if you hadn't already added it here. We also have event categories set up, which if there was ever a new event category you wanted to add, you could either just add it right onto the page and it would add as an event category for any of the other events you want to do, or you could go over to the left-hand side here. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit, but this is where you would denote which event category this specific event belongs to. Tags, we don't have to worry about tags. Once you're all ready and this looks good, you would just click update. Okay, so I'm back at the events dashboard where you can see all the events. So I'm just going to quickly show you some of those subcategories we were talking about. So if you can go to event categories, you'll see a list of all the different categories that we have here. So we've organized it by rec games, social activities, trips, entertainment. And if you wanted to ever add an event category, you would just go ahead and put that here, the name of it. So let's just say new category. You would do the slug, which is that back end of the URL, which I would just recommend doing whatever the name is. So new dash category. And then if this was supposed to be a subcategory for one of your already created categories, you would just choose which parents you want it to be listed underneath. And then I usually don't add a description. You always could if you wanted to. And then you would just click add new event category and it would show up here on the right hand side. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and show you the other area where you can create a series. So if you go under events, you'll see series right here on the left hand side. And when you scroll down, you can view all of the different series that have been created. So for example, these are ones that again were already made as a specific event was being created. And you can see the name of the series, who created it, the start date of that series, and then how many events within the series there's going to be. So since this is indefinite, we've got 60 events coming up so far. If you ever wanted to update any of these, you could just go into the edit mode. And this is where you could edit it here. So you could see all the different start dates and edit them individually. And that is a quick review on the series. Again, I think it's easier to create these whenever you're creating a singular event, and then they will show up here. The next thing we're going to show you is the venues. So if you ever wanted to add a venue, you could also put it here. Whenever you do that, we can see all the different ones I've already put in, but you would just click add new at the top here. And then you'd put the name of the venue and then the information about it, the address, the city, the country, state, postal code, phone, and website. And then you would just click publish. And then that would show up as a venue you could choose for one of your events. The last thing with the events calendar I'm going to show you is the organizers. So with the organizers, this is the people that are behind the event. So more often than not, it's probably going to be Fox Valley Community Services. But for example, you might be doing it in conjunction with another organization. For example, we've got Fox Valley Community Services and Good Times Travel helping with some of those specific bigger trips. So this is where you would just put, if there is another organizer, similar to your venues, you would just scroll up to the top, click add new, and then you would put the name of that organizer, so the name of the organization, and then you'd put some quick details about them. And then you'd click publish. So one thing before we move over to another section of this training is I did want to show you that you can link out to these different events. So if I wanted to show all of the different events that were included in the health and wellness category, you could do that. That's why they have you create the slug here. If you wanted to see all of those, you would go to your categories and you'd click view. And then you'll see there's a link that's generated that shows every single event that is included in the health and wellness tab. This could be useful if you're wanting to do any sort of social media marketing, any sort of email marketing, if you wanted to put a QR code on a flyer and have the flyer be about the health and wellness services provided at Fox Valley Community Services, and then have a QR code for this. This could be really helpful for certain things. It's not necessary, but every once in a while we've had clients before saying that, they like having a certain button that says view, health and wellness activities, and it shows up here. So I did want to let you know that this is an option. This is something that people can view. And whenever you do go ahead and see each individual event, this is what it looks like at the top. So it'll say the name of the event series. It'll give people the option to add it to their calendar, and then it shows all those details down here, and some of them are linked, and you can see that these will take you similar to what we just viewed where we see all those health and wellness activities. It'll take you where you can see all of the events hosted by Fox Valley Community Services, or it will show you all of the events that take place at the Sandwich location, or it shows you all of the specific events in the Alzheimer's support group. So for example, if you click that, you'll have something very similar right here. So that is something that I do want you to know about in case you ever want to use specific links for your event categories. Alrighty, so now we're going to go into the pages. This is probably one of the most important aspects of this training. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the pages, and you'll see every single landing page that is on your website. It's categorized alphabetically, but you can also go ahead and search by name at the search up at the top. One thing I will say, feel free to not worry about anything that says donation, donor, or GD. Anything with this donation or donor word in front of it has to do with your certain plugins, and we don't want to touch that because those are specifically curated and coded for some of those different plugin needs. Same thing with these GD ones. GD stands for GeoDirectory, and GeoDirectory again is the plugin that is being used to host your directory of all your different resources for people. And so these are pages templated pages that have been created upon activating the plugin. So we don't want to worry about touching these. Everything else though can also be seen. So you've got your latest news, leadership and staff. So if you ever wanted to create a new page, we're going to go ahead and just do a test with that. You would go ahead and we'll go ahead and do the contact us. You can hover over and see the same clone option. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And once we do that, it'll have the same name. So you'll just go back to whatever the name of the page you duplicated was. And you'll see, similar to the posts, one that says draft comma Divi and one that just says Divi. The one that says draft is the newly cloned page for us to use. So before we go and start editing that, I do want to show you this quick edit option here. When you click that, that basically gives you an opportunity to make small, quick edits without opening the entire back end of that page. So if you ever wanted to just update the title here or the slug here, we'll say test page. You could do that here, test page. And then if you needed to change who the author was, you would do that here. This would allow you to update whether it's a published page or a drafted page. So if there's ever a page that you make for a specific announcement and then you want to take it off of the live front end of your site without necessarily deleting it, you could just go into your quick edit and update the status here. One thing that's also very interesting is that if you wanted to have a page that was password protected, that is an option and this is where you would put it. So if you wanted it to be password protected, you would just go ahead and click in here and put whatever the password is for people to log in to be able to view it. And then it'll let the system know that people need to specifically log in to view this page. But we're not going to do that right now. So I'll go ahead and update it. And now we've got test page draft. And now I'm going to go ahead and actually edit the page. Okay, so whenever we see the back end of this page, again, it looks very similar to the blogs and the posts because it's got the same exact setup on the back end. So right now we're viewing the Divi Builder wireframe view. Again, if you ever wanted to change views on the back end, you could go to desktop view here. Maybe you just have like one quick small edit you need to make to the copy. You don't need to pull open the whole front end. You could just do that here. Or you can view it on a tablet. So this is what it looks like when people look at the page on a tablet, and then a mobile phone. So the wireframe view, if you ever wanted to use the wireframe view, I do think that there are moments where it has a good purpose. You could just go ahead and hover over the module settings and edit things there. But I know sometimes it's a lot harder to kind of get a sense of what this page looks like as you're making those edits. So that's why we usually recommend for people to go ahead and build on the front end, which I'll show you again how to do. Again, this is all the exact same from what we saw with the posts. So I'll go ahead and use this time to show you specific modules you can add, as well as the different settings for those modules. So right now, this is where we've got our duplicated page. We see again that we have this section, and then we've got a row, and then we've got a module. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new section. I'm going to do that by hovering over and clicking the blue plus arrow. And we're just going to do a regular section, but there are opportunities to do a specialty one or a full width, but we're just going to do regular for now. We just need this to be a one column row for now, but if you wanted to have two separate columns or have text on one side and an image on the other side, then you'd be updating the row layout here. And then it lets you insert a module. So I'm going to go ahead and start by putting an image. So if I scroll down here, if I go up here, then you'll see the image module right there. Whenever you click that, you get this that pops up. So I'm going to go ahead and click the image, and it takes you to the media library. So I'm going to go ahead and pretend, this is the image that I want to add. and we'll upload it, and it shows it right here. Whenever you're done uploading the specific image you want, you just click the check mark and you'll see it here. Now, if I wanted to center align this, let's say that I don't want it to be in the left, I want to make it center aligned, you would go over, hit the settings gear icon right here, which before I go into that, just a quick review, this is what allows you to move the module around. This gear icon takes you to the settings of the module. This icon lets you duplicate the module. And then this icon lets you delete it. And then this icon shows you some additional settings or options. So let's just say that I want to, again, center align this. I'm going to go into the settings. And you can actually untoggle this and you'll see all these different options. So if you wanted to change a background color, you could do that here. I'm going to go into design. And we have the option for alignment. So this is where I would make that center aligned or right aligned. I'm going to go ahead and make it center aligned. And then you have some other options here as well. You have spacing and sizing. If you wanted to add a border, you could do that here. We'll show you. So you would just bump that up and now we've got a border around the image. If you ever wanted to do a shadow on the box, so maybe like a drop shadow, you could add that here. You could determine like how far it goes out. If you don't want it anymore, you would just click the no button. If you wanted to add a filter, you could do that here, make it brighter. You could do all that editing right here. And then if you want to add an animation, this is always fun for people whenever they're scrolling down the page to see it pop up in a certain animation. You could do that. So we'll have it slide in, let's say from the left. And it'll show you how that's going to look. So you have all these different design options as well, which is really fun. And then your advanced tab kind of takes you on more of those like specific settings. So if you wanted to have additional scroll effects, you could do that here. If you wanted to add a custom CSS or a CSS ID or class, this is where you would do that. But we're not going to go ahead and worry about that. So whenever you're done making any changes, always make sure you click this green checkbox. That saves those changes to that module. And so now I'm going to go ahead and add a new module. I'm going to add, let's see, by clicking that gray plus button, I'm going to add some text. So I'm going to go down here, click some text, and then this shows the text. It auto-populates some additional things here. We'll just keep that there for now. If you ever wanted to change the look of the text, then you would go back into design and you've got different options for this different module. So for text, we would go in and you could change the font weight to bold. You could make it light. You could just do regular. If you wanted to make it all capitalized, you could click that and it will auto capitalize everything for you. You could just turn it off if you don't want that. You could underline everything. If you wanted to change the color of the text, this is where you could do that. And then if you wanted to take a look and add something, like add a color, you would just do the eyedropper and you could put your hex code here. And then you can always make it bigger. You can do spacing in between the letters. This is where you would go ahead and do that. So you can have a bunch of different options here. And same thing as before, you've got an area to do sizing. You've got an area for spacing if you want to update the margins. If you wanted to add a border, a box, if you wanted to add an animation, if you wanted to go here and do a scroll effect. We have a lot of different options for this. So I'm going to go ahead and click that check mark. And then the last module I'm going to show you today is the button module. So I'm going to go ahead here and click the button and we'll see where we can put our text. So I'm just going to go ahead and put learn more. And then I'm going to do a link. So I'm going to go ahead and actually show you from before what it would look like if we wanted to do a PDF. So let's just say that I go into media and then I've got, let's just say this is a PDF instead of an image. You would take the file URL, everything after the org, you'd copy it, and then I would go back and place that as the button link URL. It would have that same WP PDF downloadable option for people to use to download. So I would go ahead and click that check mark. Before I do that, again, you can change the design if you want to center align the button, update the color of the text, use any specific custom styles for the button. This is what your default is across your website, but if you wanted to make this button special or different, you could do that here and update it with all these different color or font options. And then you'd click the check mark button. Okay, so let's just say we are good to go with this page. We like it. It's everything we want it to be. You're going to go to this purple button and you're going to go ahead and click publish. I'm going to do that now. We don't have to worry about anyone seeing this test page right now because there's no way for people to access it. So once you do that, go ahead and publish. It's just loading. So now that we've done that, we are good to go to exit the visual builder. So I'm going to go and click at the top to exit. And now we can see the new page with the new URL all the way at the bottom, and it shows us our new content. And then whenever we click the button, as you can see, it takes you to whatever you linked it to. And that is a quick gist of how to update one of your pages.